All right there, everyone. Marine Le Pen demands President Macron's resignation and new national elections throughout France. That's what we'll be talking about on today's video. A huge shout out to all of our new subscribers. It's a privilege to have you with us, and I hope you'll enjoy this channel. For those who haven't already done so, please smack that bell and subscribe button. It'll be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel, where we daily analyze together current events in light of awesome conservative trends so that you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. All right, Marine Le Pen, who's still just glowing from her resounding victory in the EU elections, her second EU victory in a row, by the way. She's 2 for 2. She's gotten bold. She hasn't wasted any time calling on French President Macron to resign immediately and allow for new national elections throughout France. She pointed out that David Cameron resigned as Prime Minister of Britain when the British people rejected his call to stay in the European Union back in the summer of 2016 when he was campaigning for that. She pointed out that Theresa May recently resigned from her office after the Brexit Party completely trounced the Tories and Labour and the Social Democrats and the Greens. I mean, the trouncing was so bad for the Tories. So while the Brexit Party won a total of 29 seats, the Tories managed to win only 4. The Brexit Party won more seats than Labour, Tories, and Green Party combined. So given that Macron has spent more effort in campaigning for these European elections than any other head of state, let alone Theresa May, and given that he's not able to win more than 22% of the vote, Le Pen has come out and said, it's time. It's time for you to do the honorable thing like Cameron, like May before you, and resign. Now, Le Pen is under no illusions here. She's come out and she said that Macron has neither the honesty nor the panache to resign. I love that, the panache. But at the very least, if he refuses to resign, he should at the very least dissolve Parliament and hold new elections as soon as possible. Le Pen is interesting here. She's arguing that rather than being the chief executor of the Constitution of France in this campaign, as he ought to have been as president of the entire nation, president of all parties, rather than see himself above this European election, Macron actually took sides. He became an active player in one of several parties that were campaigning. And so this defeat is his responsibility. This was a defeat of President Macron. It's a really interesting argument here. This wasn't just National Rally beating Macron's party En Marche. No, because he was so involved in the campaign, this was Marine Le Pen beating Macron, like she did, by the way, in the first round of the presidential elections back in 2017, right? It's been pointed out to me, if France had a system like Italy's, for example, Marine Le Pen would be president right now, okay? So Macron should take responsibility and resign, or at the very least call for new elections. Now, Le Pen was speaking to Breitbart in an exclusive interview. And Le Pen said that there were 2 major reasons why she won, why National Rally came out victorious. There's a European reason and a French reason. And I think she's right on this. Very, very astute. A continental reason and a national reason. The continental reason, she notes that Macron ran on a platform of being the leader of the European Union. This is back in 2017 for the president. And that appealed to the French. Remember, French is one of the official languages of the European Union. And the idea of having a French leader back in 2017, is to replace Merkel as the de facto European leader, that was very intriguing, very alluring. The problem is the French people don't believe that anymore. They don't want the globalized centralization that Macron's proposing. She notes that the European Union despises the citizen, the individual nations. It protects China. It promotes factories and industrial jobs shipped away from Europe to third world nations. Brussels seeks to grow the European economy by bringing in a massive amount of immigrants to Europe. And the French just don't want this anymore. Right? They don't believe in this since 2017. And the second reason for National Rally's victory is national. It's specific to France. Macron's arrogance, his reforms that cared nothing about the working class, particularly slapping fuel taxes on them, carbon taxes, that in many ways sparked the Yellow Vest uprising, What that has basically done is it's dissolved the old left versus right paradigm, and it's replaced it with, globalists versus nationalists. That's the new divide. It's the new divide in not just in France, but an increasing number of nations. And I would say here in the United States, as we were arguing back in 2016 on this channel, we argued that the Brexit dynamics, which cut across the traditional left versus right, Labour versus Tory divide, those nationalist versus globalist dynamics were making it to our shores, and it was the defining paradigm for the 2016 presidential election, which we predicted. That's how our channel started, at least because of the outcome of Brexit, largely because of the outcome of Brexit, that Trump would win. And he won largely through winning, traditionally blue-collar Democratic states like Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania, hadn't voted for Republicans since the 1980s. And so Le Pen is really sharp here. She recognizes that the new divide is no longer left versus right or liberal versus conservative, at least in this globalist centrist sense. The new divide is now the nationalists versus the globalists, or the citizens versus the elite, traditionalists versus secularists. That's the new political divide. That's what's been animating the Yellow Vest uprising for 28 straight weeks. That's what propelled National Rally to victory this past weekend. What Le Pen has noticed is that the anti-national, anti-cultural dynamics of globalization have really begun to be felt intensely among the French, in particular, Europeans as a whole, and that there really is a kind of renaissance going on as a result. It's provoked a renewed love for nation, culture, custom, and tradition that's being shared throughout Europe. I got to see this firsthand when I was in Verona, Italy, Lega country. I mean, you could just feel it. There was such a resurgent love of nation, culture, custom, tradition, faith, family, especially a renewed sense of fraternity among us. Because we recognized we were not ultimately committed to just our own nation's cultures, customs, and traditions. We all sensed that we were ultimately committed to a common Christian faith, a common sense of the eternally true, good, and beautiful, to which our individual cultures and customs uniquely embodied and revealed and ultimately pointed us to. That's the amazing solidarity that exists between all nationalist, populists, and traditionalists. And I think it's the animating power of this channel. That ultimate loyalty is to a common Christian vision of truth, goodness, and beauty as revealed uniquely to us by our own cultures, customs, and traditions. That's what's creating a worldwide solidarity like nothing else. People are never, ever going to die for them all. But we will give our lives for what is moral and right and good and just. No one is going to defend globalism with their sacred honor, since there's nothing sacred in globalism. What's the old saying? The globalist knows the price of everything but the value of nothing. This is what Le Pen is saying. It's no longer a matter of right versus left or conservative versus liberal, again, in this globalist centrist sense. It's now nationalism versus globalism. It's populism versus elitism. It's traditionalism versus secularism. And there's no way that globalism, elitism, and secularism can match the power of nationalism, populism, and traditionalism. I can't remember where I read this, but it says it so wonderfully. I think it was from our good friend Daryl Dow's Facebook page, if I recall correctly. I'll give the description to him either way. Empires always rise and eventually fall, while nations may slumber, but always, always awake. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to click on the link below and get your brand new European Elections 2019 commemorative mug. You can also check out some of our awesome accessories that celebrate all things nationalist, populist, and traditionals. We have Matteo Salvini mugs and Viktor Orban mugs and t-shirts. You're going to love them. And please click on either our Patreon, subscribe to our PayPal links below, and become a monthly supporter of this channel and help us to continue to analyze current events in light of awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. God bless.